The Quran has a tremendous contribution to make in terms of ethics and morality. How we view them and what we take away from the primary texts in the end is a somewhat subjective exercise because there is so much of those fields covered in the Quran. But if I were to bring it down to a couple of concepts myself, along with some other major scholars in history, I would say that the ethical system in the Quran is encompassed in the concept of Tauhid. And Tauhid, in addition to meaning the oneness of God, it also means the unity of creation. And part of being a faithful believer is to understand what that means. Now, it doesn't mean that we homogenize everything and that everything has to be similar. Quite the contrary. It means that we have to accept that diversity is what makes the whole stronger. To accept that we have different interests. And the Quran actually tells us we have different interests and we will tend toward those interests. We have to respect that some of us will be artistic, some of us will be scientific, some of us will be very practical, some of us will be very philosophical. And this together builds a very strong society. So in that diversity, there's an incredible unity. The other thing that Tawheed points to is our interdependence. Not only our interdependence as human beings, but our interdependence with every living creature. Now, from a policy perspective, that creates a lot of challenges. Because if we are so intimately interconnected with every living thing, how do we form boundaries around our policy? How do we make education policy? How do we make health policy? How do we make foreign policy if we firmly believe that all human beings are equal? Where do we draw the line in terms of our analysis of harms and benefits? Now, the Quran does something very special, and Islam does something very special in that it provides the moral code that would enable us to behave in ways that respect that unity, even though our own personal knowledge can never encompass its full intricacy and complexity. So in that system, we have obligations, we have responsibility, we understand that there's sanction, that our intentions are very important, and that our effort plays a role. So in any action, really, that we perform, we are not fully responsible for all the consequences. We are only responsible for the impact of our act. But so many causes go into the final outcome. Our part, however, is to respect the moral code or the moral system that we know in the Quran supports the concept of Tawheed. And if I were to sum that moral system of the Quran into one word, it would be taqwa, or heedfulness of God. To know that all the time there is somebody watching, there is somebody monitoring, there's somebody loving. And so this is how we respect Tawheed, is through taqwa.